Hey Stat Rollers, Bill with RollStats. If you're into Shadowdark, dark fantasy, or just love the idea of pushing your game into the realms of corruption and temptation, then you're going to love this video. Today I'm diving into Shadowdark Cursed Scroll Zine 1 Diablerie. This is the first installment and my personal favorite installment of Shadowdark Zine series. But before we go any further, I have to throw out a massive spoiler warning. We're talking about the nitty-gritty details of Diablerie, including new classes, spells, monsters, and even an adventure. So, if you want to experience it firsthand, maybe send your GM this way instead and come back after your first playthrough. Alright, if you're still here, let's raise our torches, step into the gloom, and uncover the dark secrets of Diablerie together. So what exactly is Cursed Scroll 1 Diablerie? It's an official supplement, it's an expansion to the Shadowdark core rules, but it's not just an expansion, it's a delve into the darker side of Shadowdark. It's packed with new character options, mechanics, and an adventure that adds layers of tension and moral ambiguity to your campaigns. It really leans into themes of corruption, forbidden magic, and that thin, treacherous line between power and peril. So, the beauty of tabletop role-playing games, they offer players a chance to step into different worlds, embody different characters, and embark on epic adventures. One of my personal favorite aspects of role-playing games is when they allow you to delve into the darker, more mysterious corners of fantasy, and this is where Diablerie comes into play. Diablerie offers game masters and players alike new tools, adventures, and challenges that push the boundaries of the Shadowdark universe. Diablerie is a masterful exploration of themes like dark magic, corruption, and that ever-tempting allure of power. As soon as I got my hands on this zine, I knew I was in for something special, something that wouldn't only enrich my Shadowdark campaign, but provide countless hours of immersive, edge-of-your-seat gameplay for my players. It introduces new character classes that walk the fine line between heroism and villainy, spells that tempt the fate with every casting, and a setting so steeped in dread and mystery that it practically begs you to explore its hidden depths. So whether you're a GM looking for new material to challenge your players, or a player eager to explore new adventures of power, Diablerie has something to offer. But what exactly makes Diablerie stand out? Let's review this scene from its thematic depth to its mechanical innovations, and discover why it deserves a spot in your Shadowdark collection. Let's start with what immediately caught my eye, the new character classes. These aren't your standard heroic adventurers. Each of these classes carries a level of risk and consequence that makes them feel alive in the Shadowdark world. Diablerie introduces 3 new character classes, the Knight of St. Ydris, the Warlock, and the Witch. Each of these classes brings something unique to the table, both in terms of mechanics and role-playing potential. First up, we have the Knight of St. Ydris. This class is what you get when you mix a holy warrior and some serious demonic baggage. So on the surface, the Knight of St. Ydris seems like a noble paladin, sworn to protect the innocent, but in reality, they've entered into a dark pact with a demonic force. Mechanically, these knights are absolute powerhouses in combat. They can channel demonic energy to unleash devastating attacks, but the more they use their power, the closer they become to losing control. And let's be real, I love playing characters who constantly flirt with disaster. Sorry, Dave. From a role-playing perspective, this is pure gold. Do you try to resist the corruption creeping in, or do you embrace it and risk turning into something your allies might need to stop? That's the kind of character arc that writes itself. That's why I love this class. So next up we have the Warlock. And yeah, I know, that's not something groundbreaking, right? Every RPG has a Warlock. But Diablerie's take on it makes the class feel dangerous, dark. It's what you would expect. Warlocks strike a pact with an eldritch entity, gaining otherworldly power in return for servitude. The nature of the pact is left pretty vague, so you get to create your own story around it. Maybe your patron is a whispering shadow that only you can hear, or maybe it's a horrific cosmic being that slowly turns your blood black every time you use its power. Who knows? All you do. But what sets the Warlock apart is the reliance on eldritch invocations, which are special abilities, granted by their patron. These invocations allow the Warlock to customize their abilities, creating a unique playstyle that, reflects their character's personality and goals, really fitting the world of Shadowdark. Hell, role-playing a Warlock is an exercise in navigating power dynamics. The relationship between the Warlock and their patron is central to the class, and it's up to the player to decide how this relationship plays out. Is the Warlock a willing servant who revels in their newfound power? Or are they a reluctant pawn seeking a way to break free from the pact? That's the fun, right? The Warlock's journey is one of constant negotiation as they balance their desire for power with the demands of their patron. Last but not least, we have another caster, the Witch. This class is a caster that taps into ancient primal forces. Witches aren't just spellcasters, they're part of the natural world and the supernatural in ways that make them unique. Almost think like a druid. They're druidic in nature. From a role-playing perspective, the Witch is a character steeped in mystery and intrigue. Their connection to the natural world and the spirits that inhabit it they get a unique perspective on the world. And their magic is as much about communion with these forces as it is about wielding that power. Witches are often seen as outsiders, they're feared and misunderstood by society, and that, creates opportunities for rich character-driven storytelling. I really dig this class. I think the Witch is actually one of my new favorite classes in Shadowdark. And not just from a player perspective, for the GMs out there, these classes aren't just, cool player options. They're not just new classes to choose from. They're story hooks waiting to happen. The Knight of St. Ydris could be part of an order struggling to keep its members from fully embracing, that corruption. The Warlock's patron could be, like a major campaign villain. It could be really an end campaign boss. And the Witch, well, maybe their coven is pulling strings from the shadows. Maybe that coven is sort of setting up conflicts that only they can unravel, only that Witch is privy to. All right, let's shift gears and talk about what Diablerie offers beyond new character classes and options. Yet another aspect of Diablerie that I found particularly exciting is the introduction of new spells and magical abilities. As I said in previous videos, the magic system is a central element of Shadowdark for me. And Diablerie takes this to new heights by introducing spells that are both powerful and extremely dangerous. The new spells in Diablerie are thematically rich, drawing from the Zine's focus on dark magic and corruption. And they add new layers of strategy and tension to the gameplay. The spells in Diablerie are designed to be both evocative and mechanically impactful. And it really does a good job in meshing those two themes, right? Each spell is infused with the themes of the Zine, whether it's the corrupting influence of dark magic, the wild and unpredictable forces of nature, or the eldritch powers granted by a Warlock's patron. The result is a spell list that feels cohesive and thematically appropriate, while also offering players new tools to enhance their characters and overcome challenges. The new spells also introduce new mechanics and challenges for players and for GMs. It's a nice addition to the Shadowdark core system. The Diabolical Mishaps table, for example, adds an additional element of risk to spellcasting beyond the core table, as any failed spellcasting check can result in a mishap with potentially disastrous, truly disastrous consequences. This mechanic reinforces the theme of dark magic as a dangerous and unpredictable force, and it encourages your players to think carefully before casting spells. And I love that about Shadowdark. I love the magic system in Shadowdark. So in addition to the mechanical aspects of the new spells, Diablerie also encourages players to explore the narrative implications of their magic. The theme of dark magic and corruption isn't just present in the spells themselves, but also in the way they affect the characters and the world around them. So again, for example, a Knight of St. Ydris who frequently uses their demonic powers might find themselves increasingly isolated from their companions, right? As their corruption becomes more and more apparent. And a Warlock who relies heavily on their patron's magic might attract the attention of other eldritch beings who see the Warlock as a potential pawn in their own schemes. A Witch who communes with the spirits of nature might find themselves drawn deeper into the mysteries of the natural world at the risk of losing their humanity. Every choice has consequences. These narrative elements add depth and complexity to the characters, and they provide truly rich opportunities for role-playing for both the players and the GM. The risks of magic are not just mechanical, they're narrative. And players who embrace these risks, embrace the narrative, can create compelling and truly memorable characters. In my opinion, the new spells and magical abilities introduced in Diablerie are a fantastic addition to Shadowdark, adding additional depth and excitement to an already exciting game. So no dark fantasy setting is complete without a host of terrifying monsters and adversaries, and Diablerie delivers on this front in spades. The Zine introduces a variety of new creatures that are not just obstacles for the characters to overcome, they're integral to the dark narrative that Diablerie weaves. They play an important part in Diablerie, for sure. Yet another standout feature of Diablerie is the introduction of an established setting, within the Shadowdark world, the Gloaming. This dark and mysterious forest is a perfect backdrop for the themes of the Zine, and honestly of Shadowdark itself. It offers an atmospheric setting filled with potential for endless adventure. The Gloaming is more than just a location. It's a character in its own right. It has its own history, dangers, and secrets. It's an amazing setting, and one you really owe it to yourself to add to your Shadowdark world. The Hex Key provides a detailed map of the Gloaming, complete with the encounter tables and key locations that are ripe for exploration. It's really a valuable tool for GMs. It allows you to create a dynamic and unpredictable world for your players to explore. Because the regions of the Gloaming are varied. They offer a wide range of environments and challenges. From the Cursed Woods, where the trees themselves to be alive and hostile, to the Standing Stones, which are like these ancient monuments that are said to be the remains of a long-lost civilization, the Gloaming is a place that's filled with danger and mystery. It offers a rich and atmospheric setting filled with potential for adventure. And, it's going to provide hours of immersive and thrilling gameplay. So we can't talk about Diablerie without talking about the inclusion of a first-level adventure, the Hideous Halls of Mugdulblub. This adventure, it's the perfect introduction to the themes and mechanics of Diablerie. It offers a dark and thrilling experience that's sure to challenge everyone at the table, new or old. They're going to love it, I promise you. So the Hideous Halls of Mugdulblub is set in the ruins of Bittermold Keep. Bittermold Keep was this grand fortress that's now been reduced to a crumbling ruin by the influence of the primordial ooze Mugdulblub. The keep is now home to the twisted descendants of the Bittermold family. They've been driven mad by the corruption that has seeped into the very walls of the keep. The setting of Bittermold Keep is atmospheric, and it's filled with potential for exploration and discovery. It's phenomenal. It really is. It's this maze of crumbling halls, collapsing towers, and flooded dungeons where danger lurks around every corner, right? The environment itself is a challenge as the characters have to navigate treacherous terrain, avoid deadly traps, and, contend with the ever-present threat of Mugdulblub's influence. But as I continue to highlight, as with every other aspect of this zine, the setting of Bittermold Keep is not just a backdrop for the adventure, it ties into the narrative and themes of Diablerie really nicely. The Keep is a place where the boundaries between the natural and supernatural are blurred, and where the characters must confront the consequences of the dark magic and corruption that really permeates this entire zine. One of the more interesting aspects of the Hideous Halls of Mugdulblub is the introduction of multiple factions, within Bittermold Keep itself. These factions, they're not just enemies to be defeated. They tie into the narrative and offer opportunities for role-playing and negotiation, good social interactions, right? The primary factions within Bittermold Keep are the Bittermold family and the Howlers, right? We haven't talked about the Howlers yet, but we will. The Bittermold family, they're kind of the twisted descendants of the original inhabitants of the keep who've been driven mad by Mugdulblub's influence. They're tragic. They're tragic and dangerous, torn between their loyalty to their family and their desire to escape the madness that has consumed them. The Howlers, though, the Howlers, on the other hand, they're a fanatical group of halflings. That's right, fanatical halflings who've taken up residence in Bittermold Keep. They worship Mugdulblub as a god, and they're dedicated to spreading Mugdulblub's influence throughout the world. The concept of just halflings as this dangerous, unpredictable group, driven by their fanatical devotion to Mugdulblub, it tickles me. I love this aspect of the zine, right? But the presence of these factions create opportunities for dynamic and complex encounters. The characters can choose to ally with one faction, negotiate with another, or attempt to play, both factions against each other. These choices will have a significant impact on the outcome of the adventure, and of course the fate of the Bittermold Keep and the party. So, bottom line, is Cursed Scroll 1 Diablerie worth picking up? Absolutely. If you haven't noticed already, without question, it's worth your time and it's worth your money. If you love the idea of moral dilemmas, real consequences for wielding dark power, and monsters that will haunt your dreams, then this zine is a must-have for you, right? So this zine is the first in the series, and truth be told, it's my absolute favorite. The themes of corruption and dark magic really fit my style of play perfectly. I prefer a gritty, grim, dark world, and if you like a gritty, grim, dark world, pick this up. You're gonna love it. Final verdict on this is it is a must-buy, for sure. And hey, if you haven't even tried Shadowdark yet, good news. You can grab the Shadowdark RPG Quick Start set for free on DriveThruRPG. That way you can see what all the hype is about before diving in. And I've dropped a link in the description for both the free Shadowdark RPG Quick Start set and Cursed Scroll 1 Diablerie at Arcane Library. All right. That's it for today, Stat Rollers. If you enjoyed this review, hit that like button, subscribe for more Shadowdark content, and drop a comment letting me know what you thought of Cursed Scroll number 1 Diablerie. Let's talk about it. Seriously, let's get a conversation going. And until next time, keep your torches dry and your lantern oil full, and may the dice roll ever in your favor.